Well, hello everyone. This is my teaser video for this coming Sunday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. And well, these past few Sundays, we've had the white stuff falling out of the sky and made the Sunday morning calls hard to determine, if it's going to lay on the ground or not lay on the ground. And it was interesting. 2 weeks ago, we had the first service, some flurries. By the time the second service came and left, the roads were getting kind of tricky. This Sunday, we had snow all over the place, but the roads and the concrete were pretty much clear, and it was like driving on wet pavement. As I just looked at the weather for this coming weekend before I did this video, and it looks from Thursday through Sunday, there's 50% chance of snow. Each day seems to be maybe up to an inch. And then Sunday, maybe 1 to 3 inches. But again, each chance is 50%. So you can flip a coin and determine if it's actually going to snow or not. It's usually that far out, though. I mean, we're talking 4 or 5 days. It's hard to be that accurate. But we'll keep an eye on it. We try to make a decision on Sunday morning, unless we've been getting pummeled all day Saturday and we know it's going to go into Sunday. Because, if you've had to deal with weather or predictions, how many times have you been told we're getting a bunch of snow or rain and then it misses us? So that's kind of why we try to wait to Sunday morning to make a decision. We have 3 or 4 people who live in different areas who get together and determine. Even this past Sunday, one of the people's, it wasn't even snowing in their area, and but we also tried, if we do have service, we try to record it and put it up. So if you missed last week's message on discipleship, it is on YouTube and on our Facebook page. But this coming Sunday, it is Valentine's Day. A lot of Valentine's Days I've preached on 1 Corinthians 13, the love chapter, but I didn't want to do that this year. You always try to think of something different, and I'm going to tell you a little bit. The title of my sermon is actually called "The Rose," and I give a little insight about old Pastor Mark. And when we lived in Frederick, we had a townhouse, and a townhouse, you have a postage stamp backyard, and was actually, an amount of yard I could manage pretty easily. And so I had flower beds along the side, on the sides and the back along the fence, and I like rose bushes, and I think I had somewhere between 7 and 9, I can't remember, different rose bushes, all different color roses. I had a friend that was part of the running group I was part of in Frederick, who had her own greenhouse, and she loved roses also. So we had solid colors, we had mixed colors. I had a real dark purple that almost looked black, because I always wanted to have a black rose, but it was a real dark purple rose. Pink, yellow, obviously red, white. Had some mixtures, like I said, mixed colors. And I'd go out there, I'd trim I'd prune them back, I'd put on the powder to keep the aphids from eating into them, and then when the roses bloomed, we'd trim off some and put them in the house. My neighbors, when we bought our house and we rented out the townhouse, the neighbor next door said how much she missed not having our rose bushes, because the people we rented it to ended up having a dog, and the dog ate up the bushes or destroyed them or whatever. But I like being able to do something like that in an area where, again, I won't have a big garden growing food or anything, but taking care of some rose bushes. Sue's dad's got some beautiful rose bushes around his house. But it's interesting, because if you ever look at the rose or the rose bush, you notice, most people notice the flower, but there's a lot of different things when you start looking at the stalks and the stems that make up that rose bush. There's something that's a lot more prevalent than the rose, and that's the thorns. And for every rose, there are some thorns. And it's interesting, because we're going to look at the passage that I'm going to read for this Sunday. It's 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 7 through 10. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 7 through 10. This is talking about Paul, talking about that thorn in his flesh, and how this thorn kind of keeps him humble, and he praises God for his weaknesses. And as we think about Valentine's Day being kind of a couple's holiday, a romantic holiday, and if you talk to anybody who's been in any long relationship, those relationships are not just built on the roses. Those relationships are also built on the thorns. Um, and I'm not just talking about trials and tribulations, but just the kind of things, the thorns in the flesh that can keep us humble. If you've been in any relationship for a long time, you know the thing to keep your significant other in check. When their head's getting too big, a few key things you could say or a couple reminders that would kind of bring them back and humble them back down. I think everyone knows that because when you're in a relationship, if you're in a marriage and you make that long-term commitment, you share the highs and lows with your significant other. If it's your spouse, it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever that may be, you share all the highs and lows, and that makes you very vulnerable. And for relationships to truly grow, there has to be some vulnerability. You must be willing to show your weaknesses, along with your strengths. And that's what Paul's talking about when he's talking to God here in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 7 through 10. He's reflecting on his weaknesses and how those weaknesses help him serve and do God's will. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about on Valentine's Day. We'll see what the weather does again. I mean, it's Pennsylvania, it's winter, snow happens. So we just have to deal with it. We move on, and I had to run today, and my green belt's not shoveled or plowed, so I had some interesting runs, but it had been 10 days since I've been able to get out, and today it's not windy, so it was kind of a nice day to get out. And if you haven't got out, really outside's where we need to be. It's when we're inside and you're dealing, why does the cold and flu season, so many people get sick during the cold and flu seasons? Because we're all huddled together inside breathing the same air. That fresh air outside is the best thing that we can have. That's the best thing. The summer, when we're out there, out in the sun, or even in the cold, out in that air. So I hope everyone's doing well and being safe as they travel or get around. Again, we'll try to make a decision on what's going on. If we get pummeled, like I said, if we're getting snow all day Saturday and it's calling for it to continue, way into Sunday, yeah, we would have no problem canceling early. But as of right now, these last 2 weeks, it kind of just happened Sunday morning. Sunday morning, I was up at 4. It wasn't snowing at all, and it was calling for less than an inch. I wake up at 6, it's snowing, but it's not on the roads and concrete. So we try to make decisions, but everybody's adults. You need to make the decisions that's best for you too. I hope to see everyone as soon as possible. Until then, take care, be safe.